All right. Well, thank you very much again for attending our Mentoring Matters talk this month. 5 minutes to do an introduction about the Mentoring Club for those of you who are getting to know us for the first time. And then we will go right into our main program, which is about discovering or identifying your superpowers. And at the last 5 minutes of the session, then we'll give you some announcements of other activities that we will have in the coming months. These are the channels that we have presence in. So please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube is where we put all of the video recordings of our events, as well as some interview materials and other videos that we have produced for the Mentoring Club events. Clubhouse, we have participated in Clubhouse actively because we want to extend our reach globally. And so far, we have been getting a lot of good progress in that area, recruiting mentors and mentees from that platform. I want to bring up to the front, always taking thanking our volunteers and supporters. Really grateful for everybody who has been helping us with our events, our fundraising, our marketing initiatives, as well as the social media platform posts that we have. And then we also have our pro bono legal counsel from Wilson Sonsini, who's been helping us quite a lot as far as waivers, releases. And so we want to make sure that all of our volunteers and supporters are recognized upfront. And so who are we? For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to provide a mentoring community for aspiring and seasoned leaders. We want to be a global and inclusive community where working people are able to find mentors who can help guide them develop the skills that they need to achieve their career and life goals. And we focus on making sure that our mentees are able to find meaningful work, because when they do, then they are able to create the positive impact in the world, and the leader in them comes out. Long term, as mentees become leaders, we want or we hope, and our dream is for them to become mentors to others. These are some of our mentees and some of our mentors. And for those of you who are looking for mentors, I'd like to just let you know that this is the community of mentees that they have expressed. These are the areas that they need support in. And if you'll notice, a lot of them are around human relationship skills. There are also specific verticals, but mostly you'll see that the skills that our mentees are requesting or clamoring for support on are those that are cross-functional. And lastly, I'd like to share with you our core values around leadership. The first three, integrity, honesty, commitment, are what makes us trustworthy as individuals and professionals. And so the umbrella value for that is trust. The next two, vision and execution, are what make us successful leaders. One without the other pretty much leads to nothing. And so a good leader should recognize that both are needed to be successful. And so this two values are under the umbrella value of leadership. The last three, humanity, contentment, family, are the values that ground us socially. And at the end of the day, this is what make us happy and feel fulfilled. And the umbrella value for this is community. And so if any of these values resonate with you and you would like to consider joining our community, please know that this is very foundational and would like to attract people who believe in these foundational values. I will turn you over now to Shweta for her program about discovering our superpowers. And normally I let the speaker introduce themselves, but what I just share with you is that how I met her. And actually, she found us. This is one of those successes that we have achieved around our social media initiative. She found us, I believe, on LinkedIn, and then she reached out. She registered as a mentor, and we did the orientation. And she confirmed that everything that we're doing so far has resonated with her, and she committed to be one of our mentors. And so I'll turn over the floor to you, Shweta. Please.
Absolutely excited to be part of this webinar today, and welcome to everyone who joined us today for this session. I'm Shweta Mogha. I'm co-founder of eWOW and also a coach and mentor for a lot of people that I've been coaching on career and life skills. eWOW is essentially Empowered Women of the World platform, wherein we welcome all the women leaders and all the allies of those women leaders to be able to come together on this platform, to be able to discover, visualize, and actualize their success, whatever it means to them, personal or professional. I'm also a contributing author to one of the Amazon bestseller books, which is Fast Track Your Leadership Career. If you haven't read this book, this is a must read for you, because a lot of what I'm talking today is part of the book itself. I think today's topic resonated so well with me when we talked about identifying your superpowers. And I'm going to next 45 minutes or so dig deeper on this topic. We'll talk about what is a superpower. How do you identify your superpowers, and why is it important for you to identify your superpowers? And also how you can leverage those superpowers once you know what your superpowers are. So that's going to be our agenda. We'll have 2 activities in between. I love participation from all of you, and let's get started. I think a lot of people, when I coach, specifically people who come into me for life and career coaching, essentially ask me, what am I good at? What is my superpower, right? And together we dig deeper in terms of what the superpowers are. So for all the audience today, what is a superpower? It's essentially a set of skill, gifts, or talents which make you extraordinary. Now, a lot of people also ask me during coaching is, I don't think there's anything extraordinary in me. How do I know that I have something extraordinary, right? And what is my superpower essentially? Well, I'll talk about a personal journey that I had and how I identified my superpowers. By the way, my 2 superpowers are bias for action and learning agility. When I was working in India, and I moved to US about 3 years back, I was one of the top performers for my organization for a very, very long time. And when I moved to US, it was completely a different culture, a new setup that I was in, and I had some self doubts, at that time. What am I doing here? Why did I move, countries? Why am I, doing what I'm doing? And that was the time that I thought, it's time for me to dig deeper on what makes me extraordinary, and how can I continue to boost my confidence as I go forward. Multiple things that I did. I looked and introspected. What people recognize me for? What do they reach out me, and talk to me about? What do my managers, my family members, my peers and friends acknowledge me for? So introspection was a very big aspect of identifying my superpower. And a superpower could be anything. It could be a sport that you are good at. It could be a skill that you are good at. It could be any personal attributes that people acknowledge you for. It could be something like your communication skills, your creativity, your ability to persist and persevere in difficult situations. So that's what you call as your superpower, something that makes you extraordinary, which people love about you, like about you, acknowledge you about, and also applaud you for. So that's a superpower. Having said that, it's not easy to identify your superpowers and it needs some amount of work. But let's first identify, what do some people consider their superpowers? I read this quote somewhere wherein, Bill Gates actually said that he always chooses people who are lazy for a hard job, because a lazy person will always find an easy way to do a hard job. Who knew that laziness could actually be considered as a superpower? And that vision and that mission for Bill of identifying people who are lazy to do most difficult jobs led him to create Microsoft. So when you talk about your superpowers, nothing is off limits, is the message out here. Let's talk about, why do we need to identify our superpowers? I think one of the most important things is, um, identifying what you are extraordinary and good about, is that it builds your confidence and your self-esteem. A lot of people will tell you what you are good at, but sometimes you want to hear from your own self, what am I good at? And that's what identifying your superpowers does for you. It also helps you build your personal brand, because if you're really good at something, people will reach out to you because they know that you are very good at doing XYZ. And that's why they need to connect with you or need to bring you on projects or tasks that they think you can add value to. And of course, once you know that, you gain momentum in your personal and professional world. For example, when I talk about my two superpowers, learning agility and bias for action, how has it helped me in my career? I've got about 22 years of work experience, and I started my career actually with sales. Then I transitioned into customer services, and then I transitioned into learning and development, and then I transitioned into HR. I was the head of HR for the third largest telecom company in the world called Airtel. And then I transitioned into a recruiting leader role at Amazon. And what is common in all these movements, my passion to learn something new and my learning agility, my focus on delivering and being successful, which I call as bias for action. And if you open my LinkedIn profile, you'll see very similar things that people have written as my recommendations, of not being afraid of unknown, of not being afraid of learning something new and going ahead and charging towards the goal as if it is my own goal. That actually, in terms of my, vision for myself, led me to my long-term goal of being an entrepreneur and being a coach. So it all fell in place because of these two superpowers that I actually have. I'm going to start with an activity. If you were to think and reflect, what is your superpower and why is that your superpower? What would come to your mind? I love to see some responses in chat, and John will help me read as we start getting the responses. We'll have about 4 minutes for this activity. So think, what is your superpower and why is it your superpower? Well, actually, I see some chat here. Make it happen. Wow. Thanks, Rashim, for that. Sophia says she's dedicated. Wow. I see attention to detail. Joining ideas from different technical disciplines. Awesome. Delegating tasks. Okay, let me ask you another question. How do you know that these are your superpowers? Oh, somebody has written, my superpower is creative problem solving, cross-discipline, art and engineering. Tracy, that's awesome. Daniel, I see overwhelming empathy. Wow. You're getting some good ones. My next question to you is, how did you, ability to listen well. How did you identify your superpowers? Hazel, thoughtfulness, strategic thinking, and operational excellence, of course. Hong, inspire with ambitious goals, meticulous in getting things done. Wow. Well, I see a lot of good superpowers coming in here, and what you think you are really good at. What are your extraordinary superpowers and attributes that people relate to you for? So thank you for being an interactive audience and sharing all those perspectives. Well, let me move to the next section in terms of why and how can you identify your superpowers. A lot of times people come back and say it's challenging to acknowledge myself what my superpowers is. And I always tell them, identify what makes you happy. That's a very, very big part of identifying your superpower. Because if you really enjoy doing something or you really resonate with something, it will automatically make you shine. But if you don't get your answers by your own self through introspection, not by thinking, don't hesitate to ask others what your superpowers are. And when I say others, it could be your friends, it could be your colleagues, it could be your family members, it could be your clients, and it could definitely be your hiring manager, reporting manager, business leaders, whomsoever you trust. So it's very important to identify who these people are. What did I do? I actually reached out to two of my long term mentors in my professional career. One was the CEO of a business that I was supporting, another one was the HR head that I was reporting into in my early career days. And I said, I want to block some 10 minutes with you and I want to dig deeper on what you think my superpowers are. Why would you come to me with certain tasks? We did this healthy conversation of digging deeper on what they felt I was good at. And that really changed me as an individual because I knew we may have blind spots. We may not know what makes us special. And this is what asking others does because your blind spots are your blind spots. So you don't know about them, but others can see it in you. And sometimes you will be surprised by the kind of information that you get from these people. They will be able to talk about things that you never noticed about yourself. And that's your superpower. Another aspect, that I love to talk about here is reviewing the situations that you are in. What kind of situations do you feel energized about? What are the situations in which you are able to put your best self out? Or in what situations do people reach out to you to seek your support, advice? What aspects do they consider you as a subject matter expert? Very, very important. So for me, the way it was, every time there was a new project that would come in, my leaders will put a bold bet on me that let's put Shweta on this project. In my career at Airtel, I at least managed about 7 to 8 mergers and acquisitions. My leaders had this trust that A, she will learn fast in whichever situation that she would be in, and B, she will not shy away from rolling up her sleeves and doing the task, whatever is needed to make that project successful. And as I start talking to both my mentors on why they chose me for certain things, this is exactly what they told me. You are never afraid of trying anything new. And that gives us the confidence that you will make it happen. Similarly, I'll urge each one of you to review the situations in which you thrive the most, situations that make you feel energized, situations that bring the best self out of you. At work, it's pretty much easy. You can analyze the work assignments that are given to you. Do leaders reach out to you when they need some data analytics to be done? Or do they reach out to you when they want something creative to be done? Or do they reach out to you to convey tough messages to your peers or to your subordinates? Do they like your collaboration and that's why they put you on large projects? think about the work assignments that they normally put you on. And again, I'm going back to the same aspect of saying, if you don't know, ask. When you ask your leaders, when you ask your peers, when you ask your clients, when you ask your subordinates, they will call it out. And often you will see a pattern that would emerge. There will be a lot of commonalities that people will see in you and talk about it when you start getting those answers from them. And there are a lot of my friends who say, oh my God, it's so difficult. I don't know how do I put this conversation forward. It's very simple. It's no rocket science. Just block the time and ask them a direct question. I've worked with you for so many years. Or even with your friends and family, sometimes I ask my sister, hey, what do you think I'm really good at? If there is a specific situation, why would you reach out to me and when would you reach out to me? And you'll get those answers. But if nothing works for you, there are some people who love to do assessments. So I've actually written down 2 assessments that you can do. Strengths Finder and DISC is particularly used by a lot of people to just identify what are they good at. What is their superpower? What is their strength? So use any of the tools to identify your superpowers. Okay. On that note, what are some of the questions that you can ask yourself when you want to identify your superpower, right? And these questions, come in handy. What is something that you can do without much effort that others spend 10x energy to accomplish? What do people reach out to you for? And one surprise element here, what compliment that you get, stresses you out the most or bothers you the most? A lot of us are very shy of receiving compliments or receiving praise when people say, hey, you're really good at this. Search for those compliments that make you uncomfortable, that make you stressed out, because that's actually your superpower. And it could be a blind spot for you that you don't know. So multiple ways of approaching on how to identify your superpowers. And this is one technique that I definitely use with a lot of my coaches. And I say, reflect, ask these questions from yourself and come up with the answers of what gives you energy, what gives you, passion, what do people reach out to you for, and what stresses you out the most. We're going to do a small activity again. If you were to reach out to your network, who would be those top 3 or 4 people that you'd like to reach out to help you identify your superpowers? And why would you like to reach out to them? Drop your answers in the chat box, and I'm sure it will be as interesting as how you identified your superpowers yourself. One is inside out perspective. The other one is outside in perspective. You know what your superpowers are, but what do others see as your superpower? Because that's where the magic will happen. You'll get to know a lot of things that you may not be aware of as your superpowers. I'm seeing very interesting comments coming in here. Some people have written, people have expressed my appreciation for thought process. I would reach out to people who used to work for me, John. Great insight there. As they have moved on, and they would not be shy from expressing my strengths and weaknesses. Sophia, I see you writing my team lead and on the job coach. Awesome. Rashim says, my stakeholders, very, very important. They're cross-functional partners. They don't mince words, so they will definitely be able to tell you what you're really good at. Tracy, my grad school advisor, anyone I've worked with that's written me a glowing review on LinkedIn, customers, clients who love what I delivered. Okay, awesome. Let's see some more. I think it was Liesl who said, my sisters, my mentors, my mentees, volunteers, and former colleagues. Of course, all your network that you value and you believe, you trust their judgment, go ahead and talk to them. as I said, nothing is off limit. One thing that I did, may surprise you. I actually reached out to one of my biggest critique, as well, and asked them, what do you think my superpower is? What do you think what am I good at? And I was surprised when she mentioned a couple of things to me. And I was like, I never thought that you actually liked me. But here you are talking about what am I good at. That perspective is also sometimes useful. Hong, you've mentioned people that I've worked with, or people who worked for you. They are good judges, of people. Okay. Tracy, you mentioned flexibility and desire to learn. Okay, awesome. That's why you want to reach out to them. Well, so I will, urge each one of you, now that you have actually identified who are some of the people that you love to reach out to understand your superpowers, spend some time this weekend actually reaching out to these people and asking them what your superpowers are. And then compare, what do you see in your list versus what you see in others' list? Because I'm sure you'll get some pleasant surprises, which will take you to the next level. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being such a wonderful audience and participating. I'm really enjoying this one. Let's go to the next section, which is, once you identify your superpowers, what do you exactly do with them? Because a lot of times people ask me, okay, I know I'm good at this, but how do I actually, leverage my superpowers? How do I actually use them as I go forward in this process? And how can these superpowers actually help me in my job, in my personal life? And again, as I say, I wear my coach hat, and when I'm doing life coaching, I dig deeper on certain aspects. When I do career coaching, I dig on different aspects. So let's talk about some of the common aspects that I love to talk about with my coaches. The first thing is, once you recognize your superpower, please embrace the fact that it is unique to you. Especially with women leaders, I have seen this as a challenge sometimes, wherein they are extremely shy of acknowledging the fact that they are good at something, and that's something which I want everybody to break as a mindset. So embrace yourself, read it aloud twice, thrice, as much times as you need to just imbibe that and acknowledge the fact that this is what your superpower is. Once you know what your superpower is, then go ahead and link it to your long-term and short-term goals. Very, very important. How can you use these superpowers on achieving your long-term and short-term goals? For example, my long-term goal was always that I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a coach. And when I started thinking about my superpowers, I said, hey, if learning agility is my superpower, how will it help me become an entrepreneur? Or how will it help me become a coach? And I said that this is the time for me to continue experiencing different aspects of life, of work, of interacting with people. And as I did that, those perspectives helped me reach my goal, the long-term goal of being a coach and an entrepreneur. I do all these sessions and I interact with each one of you. And every time you write these messages in the chat, and the pre-COVID days when we used to do it more in person, it would just engage so much of conversation. And those conversations would essentially open my mind to different perspectives. And that has helped me achieve my long-term goal. My bias for action, which is my second superpower, is helping me achieve my short-term goal of enhancing my experiences and my perspectives. My bias for action has brought me to Liesel. That's how I reached out to her. And I said, hey, I saw it on LinkedIn. I want to be a mentor with you. That's my bias for action. Because that's helping me reach my ultimate goal of being an entrepreneur and having being a great coach. Meeting new people brings in new perspectives. So that's what I do. How do you use your superpowers? Once you know it and you have aligned it to your goals, use your superpowers. How do you do that? Go ahead and volunteer. I'm volunteering with a mentoring club because that brings me closer to my goal. Ask for projects, network, because that's how you will be able to use your superpowers to the best use. And I'll say, gain a better perspective. Most importantly, please talk about it. Once you know your superpower, don't be shy from calling it out in larger forums. Go ahead and share it with your leaders. That will help you to get rid of stuff that you don't enjoy doing. When you're vocal about sharing what your superpower is, your peers, your subordinates, your co-workers, your managers, even your family members, your spouse, or your children will align you to the task that you enjoy doing. And that will take away a lot of non-value adding stuff off your plate. Isn't that amazing? When you start talking about your superpowers, you start reaching out to your network and tell them what you enjoy doing. And next time they think of a project, they think of a task, they think about you because that's your superpower. Last but not the least, as you continue to grow in life, as personally and professionally, go out and help other people identify their superpowers. I've seen so many people, especially women leaders, who are so overwhelmed and have this imposter syndrome that, they completely forget about things that they are good at. And that's why we need people like you, me, to be able to tell them what their superpowers are and guide them in this journey. So my last activity for you all would be, if you had the opportunity to help someone identify their superpowers, who would that be? Assuming you reach a stage when you have identified your superpower, you have aligned it to your long-term goals, and now you want to support someone, who are one or two people that you would like to support in identifying their superpowers? Write your things in the chat. Ooh, Tracy says my husband. Wow, that's awesome, Tracy. Wow, my kids. John says my daughter. That's awesome. The whole word which says superpower brings in a certain kind of energy, certain kind of positivity in you. And that's why to a lot of my coaches, I tell them, write down these superpowers and put it right in front of you where, at your work desk or a place where you can see it often. That positive reinforcement and reading it every single day, when you live and breathe it, you are able to become that true version of yourself. Your confidence level, as I said, your self-esteem as such, really, really increases as you go through this process. And Hong says, my mentees, my co-founders, my partners, my collaborators, users in a new startup, absolutely. And you will be surprised when they come up with their superpowers, that some of your superpowers align with their superpowers. And that's how you start making that magic happen of elevating yourself, themselves, and your business, and your work, and your life, because you surround yourself with people that you are able to resonate with. So this was my session around why you need to identify superpowers, how you need to identify your superpowers, and how can you use your superpowers at work and in professional, personal life as well. I will open it up for any questions that you may have right now. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, follow eWOW. We do wonderful podcasts, and that's something I think everybody would enjoy. So I'm happy to take any questions that are coming our way, Lisa. Writing my superpowers help me on days when I am feeling low. And that's really true, as I said, from my personal experience and my story too. The only time when I really started thinking about my superpowers was when I was feeling low and I was low on my confidence. And I said, wow, this is not me. I need to understand what is it that I am known for, what is my true self. So yes, Rashim, completely relate to it.
Got a
And
question here, Shweta. I certainly appreciate the value in knowing the superpower. I can see that clearly. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about understanding your weaknesses as well? Because you've concentrated on strengths and you've not spoken a word about weaknesses. Just
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Amplification of what you are good at brings and boosts your confidence and your ability to manage difficult situations. And a lot of times today, in fact, a lot of organizations today, when even they do performance reviews, now talk about saying, identify your strength areas and play on your strengths, because that's something that you are naturally good at. You don't need to make effort in that area. I always say be aware of your weaknesses, but definitely play on your strengths, because that's definitely an easier path for you to reach success. On your weaknesses, continue to work on them, understand what weaknesses you have, but don't kill yourself and don't be harsh on yourself because you have a certain weakness, because you have the opportunity to convert your weakness into your strengths as well. And your strengths are naturally your strengths, so play on them.
add to that as well, just a thought around weaknesses is that when we know our weaknesses, then we know when we have to reach out to people to do the things that we cannot do very well.
Absolutely. Especially in the professional world, a lot of people come up with these kind of situations of saying, oh, I'm not good at this, oh, I'm not good at that. But what are you really good at? That also matters a lot. And if you know what you're good at, then you can volunteer, contribute to those projects, and automatically you will see that people will reach out more to you on those aspects. And somewhere down the line, your weaknesses will keep going, in the back, and you will start playing on your front foot and leaning on your strengths. Having said that, never take your weaknesses, ignore your weaknesses, because it's important to know what you need to work on as well.
That's a great perspective, Shweta. And actually, there are the new concept as leadership development is evolving focuses so much on strengths, and that's because we've all realized that you know we we cannot all be great at everything. That school of thought that you need to continue working on your weaknesses so that you're good at those things actually has a demoralizing effect on employees and drives down employee engagement. So focusing and playing with your strengths helps you move in the right direction, and actually it helps you think about what job role are you best for, right?
Yeah.
There are times when we join a job and we might not be a perfect fit for your job, for that particular job. And once we start identifying those superpowers, we realize which job which we fit the best in. I mean, there are people who love engaging with other people. They're great at being empathetic leaders, and customer service works great for them, or a customer facing role works great for them, because it's naturally the side of it's the talent that they have. It's one of the superpowers that they have, and that helps them navigate towards a job that aligns most with their values and what they feel good and happy about.
Absolutely. As I said, Rashim, having worked in many large companies, the entire performance management system, a lot of companies are already doing that, wherein people actually ask them to identify their strengths, and it's becoming all strength based now. So if you are leaders, if you are managers leading teams, think about that. Think from that perspective. What does your team member bring onto the table? What are they naturally good at? And enhance that in them and make them successful, because if they're happy, they're contributing to the team, automatically, they will move forward. You'll be surprised how many tech leaders today are turning into coaches because they eventually realize that, oh my God, I did coding half of my life, but that's something that I didn't really enjoy. And what I really enjoy is solving complex problems. So let me go ahead and become a coach or a mentor to someone and help them solve complex problems. So great perspective there. Thank you, Rashmi.
So I was wondering, what would you do if someone has an intense case of imposter syndrome, or to the point of it being so intense that affirmations from others don't really help?
Yeah. Again, good question. A lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome, and really what I tell them is the same thing that I said. The positive reinforcement is extremely important for you, and what you think about yourself is very, very important. And actually, I have a coachee right now, John, who has this immense imposter syndrome. And every single session that I do with her, I do talk about taking her back in time and saying, what are the 3 things that you are proud of that you have achieved in life, and how did you achieve them? So going back on their superpowers and reinforcing it time and again really helps. At times people, there was a time when people used to have this, what do I say, mindset that, we don't need coaches, we don't need mentors, we can do it on our own. But that's why these coaches and mentors are important, because your coaches and mentors essentially also help you in identifying what your superpowers are. Through those conversations, you don't see it in you, but this is what I see in you. And I tell them to actually write it down and put it right in front of them. And one of the positive affirmations that we do is, before you sleep, read out those superpowers 5 times aloud to your own self. It helps. Okay, that was a very good question. Thank you, John. And know that imposter syndrome is very, very common. I see a lot of things like 70% of the corporate employees actually suffer from imposter syndrome, and positive affirmations really, really help. Okay. Well, it was great, coming in here and talking to each one of you. You will get the recording and the details of the presentation. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I love to connect with you. Liesl, thank you so much for the opportunity to interact with this wonderful audience as well.
Well, thank you very much, Shweta, for that. And if anybody has any questions after the session, you will have the presentation materials of Shweta, and you'll have her contact information there. And please feel free to connect with any one of us here on LinkedIn, for those of you who are spending this time with us for the first time. So let me go ahead and share my screen again for some of our announcements. What can you expect for this coming month, October? So we will have one of our mentors. Again, we met her on Clubhouse. This is one of the fruits of our exposure on Clubhouse. Leslie Peterson is actually based in New Zealand. She has a PhD in mentoring and higher education, and she has agreed to do a talk with us on October 28th. And the title is not yet fixed. She will give me the final title within the next couple of days, and we will publish the event sometime next week on Eventbrite. So stay tuned for that. And if you are already in our mailing list, you will receive the notifications. And I'll also try to go ahead and reach out to our partners earlier so that you can see those announcements from them as well. And then for those of you who are in the Bay Area, we are doing our monthly Mentors and Leaders hike on October 9. We're starting early this time because sometimes it's too hot. And so, but we also want to give time for those people who want to sleep in a little bit over the weekend. And so we ask our mentees what would be a good time. So we put it at 9 o'clock in the morning. So for October, November, and December, I will actually be traveling to the Philippines, so I wouldn't be able to join the hike, but Hong has kindly agreed to cover for me. So you are in good hands if you're joining us on the hike. So other mentors also join us from time to time, as well as mentees, both past, current, and prospective mentees. So we really like those talks with mentees because we learn a lot about their situations, and we're able to give them some guidance while we're doing a relaxing walk. And I mentioned Clubhouse earlier, so we have increased our sessions in Clubhouse in the last, I think, 3 months. Initially, we started with the Tuesday sessions in partnership with one of our mentors, Sean Flynn. He created the Silicon Valley Startups Club in Clubhouse, and one of the sessions is dedicated to the mentoring club. So we have added one for Thursday, 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's we wanted to cover all 6 continents that we currently have presence in, and so we put that second session in the morning on Thursday. So between Daniel, Hong, Claire, Bishwa, and other mentees who are willing to practice their communication skills and learn how to moderate, how to interview. We're using the Clubhouse platform to develop our mentees as well. So if you are in that situation and you'd like to improve on your communication skills, this is a safe environment for all of us. We're all there to back each other up. So feel free to volunteer to become one of our moderators. Daniel is doing a great job, actually, and as well as Bishwa. And Claire has had a few sessions, but she's getting there. And she's very shy, but she's going out there and sharing her communication skills with all of us. For those of you who are interested in yoga, our mentor and yogi, Deepali, is doing her yoga sessions every Sundays from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning. Please let me know if you'd like to participate, and I can send you the link. We used to have this on Eventbrite, and we had some issues about some people that we didn't know register, and they're not, turning on their cameras. So some of the participants have gotten conscious about it, and so we'd like to just make sure that this is within the community. So please email me if you would like to join us Sundays, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Pacific time. And then, of course, our mission is to serve mentees, leaders who are trying to become better leaders and finding themselves, their strengths, and what is meaningful work to them. So if you know of anybody who would like to become a mentee or who are looking for mentors, please send them our way. You'll have my contact information at the end of this slide. And then, of course, we cannot serve the mentees without the generous and kind mentors. Our mentors are people who are ready to give back. They're not getting paid, and the reward that they have is really to see progress and to change lives positively by developing the mentees to become successful leaders. And for volunteering, you are welcome to consider any of these roles. If you are trying to switch careers, you want to become a program manager or a community manager, or you just want to give back in addition to your full-time work, please reach out to me because we could use a lot more volunteers to help us with our events and campaigns. And then lastly, since we're a nonprofit organization, please feel free to go to our website and donate whatever amount you can afford. If you'd like to set it up as recurring so you don't have to think about it on from time to time, please go ahead. That will benefit our community. And what are we going to use the funds for? So right now, we are mostly volunteer based, and eventually, in order for us to scale, we'd like to have our full-time employees. So the funds that we're generating for now are actually focused on that target of hiring our first few employees. And feedback is a gift, so please gift us your feedback. When I share this presentation with you, you can just click here, and I think John is also putting on the chat the link to the survey. If you have a few minutes, like maybe 3 or 5 minutes after this session, please go ahead and send us your feedback. If you'd like to see some other topics being covered in our sessions, whether it's through this Zoom session or any of our Clubhouse rooms, just let us know what those are, and we will look for the appropriate experts and mentors to help us cover those topics that would benefit you. And this is my contact information.
Well, continue to identify your superpowers, and you have enough opportunity to use your superpowers and contribute to mentoring clubs. So use your superpowers here as well. These will already shared with you how you could help her and support her in driving this mission. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Wish you all the very best and stay connected.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And if you have any questions, connect with about superpowers, connect with Shweta. She is very, very generous with her time and expertise. So feel free to connect with her and any one of us. So mentors here in the room: Hong, John, Mark. Yep, and that's it. We have mentees: Claire, John, Sina, Daniel, Naj, Arnold, right? So those are our mentees. So if you have questions about their mentoring experience with the mentoring club, go ahead and connect with them as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Enjoy the journey.
Bye.